Hi, welcome to the Gnome felting tutorial. For your supplies today, you are going to need a coarse felting needle. You're going to need core wool. You can use anywhere from 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce or more if you would like to make your gnome taller. Then you need one color of wool for the body of the gnome. You need a color of wool for the hat. Both the hat and the body color, you need only about 1/4 ounce at the most. You need a flesh tone color for the nose. Wool for the beard. Now I use locks or white wool on my gnomes. If you are using one of my kits, you will have assorted locks in there. These are Dorset locks today that I will be using. And then you need a hat template. If you're using the kit, you will need to cut that out from the instructions. The hat template is 6 inches tall from top to bottom and 4.5 inches wide across the two tips, and then it's just rounded at the bottom. To start, you will first be making the hat. We're going to use this template. The hat is the most time-consuming process. You will want to take the color of your hat wool and lay that on your felting mat. I lay enough out so it overlaps and provides a nice cover. You want to lay enough out that it overlaps all the edges of your template. Once you have laid out your wool, take your needle and you want to define the edges of this template. So push your needle around the edge of the template. Don't go through the template, just into the wool and down into the mat just slightly. You're going to go all the way around. Once you've gone all the way around, you remove the template. You will see you have an outline there. Next, you want to fold in this wool over the line. The wool where you felted in the line should be stuck in the mat a little bit, so it will create a nice edge. So fold it in on all sides. And at the tip, you can just kind of pull that up and out of the way. So next, you just want to start felting all over the hat. Now make sure when you push your needle through that you push it just far enough to go into the wool and not into the mat very far. If you push it into the mat, the wool will get stuck in there and it'll be harder to pull off, and sometimes will get stuck to your project. This is where if you have a multi-needle tool, you can start to use that. It makes the felting process much faster. If there are any areas that are thin, you can just add some wool on top. Okay, once you have felted down the entire surface, you want to take this off of your mat very carefully, just pulling gently along the edges, and then pull it up. Do not pull very hard. It's not very secure right now. Then you want to flip it over and felt all over this again. Now you're going to repeat this process until you have a nice, flat, solid piece. If you have any areas that are thin and you can see through, just add some more wool and felt over top. If your edges are fuzzy, you can grab the wool from the side with your needle and then push it in on an angle. Kind of fold it over and down. And then for this tip, you can pull it up and kind of twist it, and then fold it down. And then felt it down. If you want to make this tip more pointy, just grab the wool from the side and fold it over and felt it down at the same time. And just gently, not very far into the mat. Okay, so I have a nice flat piece here. Now to make the hat into the cone shape, all we're going to do is fold it in half, like this. So these edges meet, and then you're going to felt along this entire edge. You're going to felt through both layers, but only along this edge. Felt it until you can hold this open and tug on it and it doesn't come apart. Alright, so we made a nice cone shape. So there's the hat. Next we will be making the body part of the gnome. You want to do the hat first, so when you're making the body you can measure it up against the hat and make sure that it's not too small or not too big. So you want to take your core wool and start at one end and roll it very, very tightly into a cylinder. As you're rolling, fold in the ends every so often to make it nice, tight, and dense. You can start with a little bit and then add more later. Once you got the first part rolled in, you can felt the end down so it stays in place. Now to add more, you just hold the end onto your already made cylinder and you keep rolling. I felt it down a little. just so it stays in place. And this is at the point where you want to measure it up to your hat. So slide your hat over top of the cylinder. And this one is just, this body part is a little bit too small yet, so I'm going to have to add some more. You want it to fit snugly on the top there when you slide it on. You can also wrap it tightly around. And measure that again, see if it's big enough yet. I think that's just about right. You'll put the hat over top of the nose a little bit later, so if there's a little bit of room, that's all right. So to felt the body in, all you need to do is just felt all over. Felt the sides. Either one of these ends you'll want to make the bottom and make it very flat so it can stand up on its own. So while you are felting, every once in a while, stand it up on the bottom and make sure it still stands. If it doesn't, then you need to reshape the bottom and make it flat. Okay, you want this body to be nice and dense, but so you can still squish it just a little bit. So after you have the body felted, now we're going to add the body color. So take whatever color you have of the wool for the body. You just want to lay it on top of the body here and just felt it down. You don't have to cover the entire top because this is where the hat will be. So if you just want to go up to about there and leave a little bit at the top, then you're using a little bit less wool. So add the wool to the sides all the way around and to the bottom. Okay, once you have the color added into the body, I always like to make sure it's still standing on its own, and then try that hat on again. Make sure you have that color enough on there. Okay, now we're going to add the locks for the beard. So I'm going to take my locks. These ones are the right length for the beard. It's not going to be too long and hang down below the body. But if you have locks that are too long, depending on what they are, like mohair locks, you can fold in half usually if they're too long. And if you fold them in half, and then you'll just attach that part to the top. But these locks with these cut ends, they wouldn't look very good folded in half. So you could trim locks as well, whichever works best for what you're using. but these are just the right length. So all I'm going to do is gather the locks at the top here in between my fingers, lay them out on the top. You want them to be where your color meets the top. And while holding them in place, you just need to felt down the top of the locks. I've got a couple loose ones here, so I'm just pulling those out and then laying them back on top here. And I'll just felt those down. You should be able to just tug slightly on them and they stay in place. After the locks are attached, we're going to make the nose. So grab your flesh color for the nose. And what you want to do is take one end and start rolling it up into a ball. You're not going to roll up the whole piece, but most of it, and then you're going to leave a little tail at the end here to help you attach it to the body of the gnome. Once you got it rolled up into a ball, you want to carefully felt while holding it together. Just turn it and felt all over the nose. And it can just be a round ball. Doesn't have to be any specific shape. Alright, so now I'm going to attach it to the body. You want to put the nose, the tail down. Put that right on top where you felted down the locks. And just squish that tail down. Whoops. You're going to start by first felting that little tail you left down into the body. Once that tail's felted in, hold the nose down, and then from an angle, you're going to grab a little bit of the nose on an angle and then push down into the body of the gnome. Don't push all the way through the body so you don't hit your fingers. And just do that all the way around the base of the nose there. Okay, so next, after the nose is attached, we are going to put the hat on. So your seam that you made will go on the back side. You just want to slip that on. Pull it down gently. So you want to pull it down. I pull it down over the nose. Just a little bit, enough to cover up on the sides there. And when you stand it up, they can be slightly angled back. So you're going to felt the hat to the body. Felt it about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the hat. And just do this all the way around. I felt up to the edge of the nose. Right there. and then you can fill over top of the nose. That will pull the hat back a little bit. And just fill all the way around. Give your hat a little tug, make sure it's snug on there. And you've made a simple basic gnome. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video. I have kits available in my Etsy shop. You can find me on Etsy at Sheepishly Made by cs.etsy.com, or search the shop name in Etsy, Sheepishly Made by CS. I also have other kits available. Thanks for watching. And once again, if you have any questions, just comment below or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks.